Hello, thank you for joining me for the last card in the Avid Crafting Collective um, Find Violets Stamp Camp. My name is Tracy Held. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne in Australia, and this is the fun fold card that Julia designed. Now this is a very me kind of card because it looks pretty from the outside, but the fun happens when you open the card and you then have that pop-up happening. And it's one of these that looks wow, but is actually pretty easy to make. So let's start by doing some scoring. And not a lot of scoring on here. We want to score on the long side. Yep, just double checking that I've got it on the right side. And that's it. That is as complicated as our scoring gets. And then folding it, we're going to fold mountain, mountain, and valley. Okay. Now I'm taking my Secret Sea ink and I'm going to stamp my pretty flowers onto this bottom corner over here. I just need, here we go. I don't know where my grid papers disappeared to, but I just want something because otherwise I'm going to make a mess when I put everything down. Okay, now colouring this, and this is a bit of a challenge for me because she's been really brave and gone with different colours on the flower. I usually use a light and a dark of the same colour, but we're going to put some Blackberry Bliss in the centres. And then Daffodil Delight. Now, ideally you would go and use your dark Daffodil Delight, but my dark Daffodil Delight has decided that it's dried out. So I'm using light, and you'll notice that when you put the yellow over the Blackberry Bliss, it actually changes the colour a bit. It makes that look a bit brown and the yellow look a little bit orange, which I must admit, when I first looked at Julia's card, I thought, what colours have you used here? Now I'm going to take light lemon lolly just to fill the rest in. And if you're thinking that, yep, the light lemon lolly looks very similar to the Daffodil Delight, you would be right, and that's what I found. But anyway, I'm going to fix that. Like I said, if you've got that dark Daffodil Delight, use that straight away. But I'm just going to go over roughly where I put my light Daffodil Delight, rather, with some dark lemon lolly. I think that just saturates the colour a bit more. Then for the leaves, we're going to use some shaded spruce, and I'm using light. You can use dark. I'm not sure what Julia used there, just going over the veins, and then fill the rest in with Granny Apple Green. And again, I don't know why I'm tending to all the light colours today, but I am. So you could use the dark as well. Just if you prefer your leaves darker, then use dark Granny Apple Green. And if you don't like these colours, then change them. So it could have taken a bit more time than that, but you know me, I like to do quick colouring. Now we need to assemble our card. So from the card base, I've just taken that straight oval and cut it out hopefully roughly centered in the front of the card. I know that I'm not very good with centering things, but here's hoping for the best. Now all that I'm going to do is just put some glue behind this first panel, so the one that's got my flowers on it. And is it going to be one of those days where I have to fight with the glue? And I'm sticking that onto the inside of the card. And now just folding that, so on that next score line, I'm going to put glue onto this first panel over here, trying not to get it all over everything else because I really don't want my card to stick closed. And then we're just going to close that. Okay. Now I've stamped my oval with the Secret C, die cut it and cut that straight oval out of the center of that. And we're going to glue this onto the front of the card so that it's over the oval that's cut out. And in an ideal world it will actually fit properly, seeing that it's the same oval. Now I'm going to put some glue on this piece that's sticking out over here, so just that second panel, not the first one. And then we're going to put my Secret C oval back into its hole so that it's going to stick onto that bit there, which when I open the card is going to give me that pop-up. Okay, I see that I was slightly over on the oval, which is probably why it was sticking over there. I can probably trim that off, but that's okay. And then we're going to take my flowers, which I had coloured beforehand so that you didn't have to watch me colouring too lots of flowers. And I'm going to just stick that onto my card with dimensionals. These are the minis because they just happen to be here, but I would probably ordinarily use the bigger ones just because these can support the bigger ones. I'd use the minis down the stem but use the bigger ones on the leaves and flowers, but it doesn't matter because it's all going to pop up and look beautiful anyway. Only problem with minis is that you then have more backings to take off. Stick that on, and once again we've used that little happy birthday stamp where you can stamp it and then cut it apart, or if you're like me and that just doesn't work for you, cut your thin strips and then you can sort of gauge exactly where you're stamping and just stick those across. I think that needs to be a little bit higher. Although having said that, sometimes even with a little strip where you should be able to see exactly where you're stamping, you don't get it straight and you have to stamp it multiple times, but it all works in the end. Alright, so there's the card. Looks pretty much the same as Julia's, just my colouring's a bit lighter and you've got that gorgeous pop-up. So if you want this tutorial, it is available, and the link to purchase it is in the description of this video. Enjoy the rest of the day and I will see you next time. Bye for now.